So this is our heart-centered and business-focused masterclass. I really love doing this class because I feel really passionate about having healthy boundaries. I work a lot with the doulas who train with us to help them figure out what kind of healthy boundaries they need in their personal life, but also in their work life. And a lot of what we've been talking about all week plays into figuring out those healthy boundaries. So, what I see a lot of with heart-centered businesses is people who overgive, who give to the point that they're not nourishing themselves and they're not making choices to take care of themselves. And I think that's really common to fall into with heart-centered businesses because we go into them because we care about other people, because we want to make a difference in people's lives, and we want to give and give and give. And all of us have gotten this message over the years that if you're truly giving and caring, you can't be selfish. And what falls into feeling selfish is often just self-care, which is all about boundaries. Oh, so I am a really big fan for setting boundaries in heart-centered businesses. I think your boundaries need to be things like, what do you need at home to have your home continuing to function? Oh, what kind of time do you need to invest in your children, in your pets, in your partnerships, in your friendships? Because if those are suffering, then you're not taking care of you and your whole life outside of work. And you have to figure out how to keep that balance. Another place where I see it really slipping is, how many hours do you work? If you are working all of the time, if you're working all of the time in order to make enough money to support your lifestyle, then it's really hard to keep that balance of taking care of your home, family, life, friends, relationships with how many hours you work. So Crystal just reminded me that I should let you know why you should be listening to me and why it is that I feel like I am in a place to be able to teach about this. So I was a single parent with 4 kids. I raised all of them as a postpartum doula, and I messed up a lot along the way with figuring out that balance, with not charging enough, with spending hours and hours and hours in order to pay the bills because it was my income that supported everybody. And I've come to the verge of burning out a lot. And luckily, I always kind of figured out how to tweak things to make them work. But along the way of doing that, I was also able to learn where those boundaries needed to be. I've run an agency since 2011, 2010, 2010. I've run a postpartum doula certification program since 2015. And so my approach to the importance of boundaries for heart-centered businesses is not just about my experience. It's also watching all of my students go through figuring it out, and being in the doula community and watching doulas as a whole having to figure out boundaries and how to keep themselves sustainable. Most caregiving businesses have a high burnout rate, and doula work is the same thing. I think I read that the average length of most people's doula careers is 2 to 3 years, which is kind of crazy because it's work that if we set it up in a way that's sustainable, we could do for a really long time. So Part of that making it sustainable is figuring out what do you need to make in order to take care of your life. How much money do you need to bring in each month? Are you doing this as an extra thing for money? Do you have a partner whose full-time job supports your family and you're really doing this just because it feeds something in your soul? Great. Do it for whatever you want. But if you are relying on your income to pay your bills, to buy the extras that you need, then be sure, sorry, I have a text coming in. Then be sure to figure that into what you're charging. In order to be sustainable, you need to figure out what your rate needs to be so that you are not breaking all of your healthy boundaries by working more hours than works for your life. And so that falls into charging enough money. If you're charging $20 an hour and you have to work 60 hours a week in order to make enough money, that's not sustainable. So you need to figure out, where does that boundary need to be on how many hours a week is sustainable to keep your health, to have enough time for your family, your home, your relationships, and then adjust what you charge so that you still bring in enough money in order to be able to do that. Sometimes boundary work is about having clarity for where this work falls in your life and making sure everyone else respects that. Maybe your partner, your kids, your friends don't respect the fact that this is a career for you. And you have to sit down and say, hey, y'all are really important to me, but so is this job. This is not just a hobby. This is something that I'm trying to build on. And work out with them where your boundaries need to be to make sure they feel taken care of, but also you feel like where you're going is respected. Sometimes we're setting boundaries with ourselves, with how many hours we put in, with what we're willing to do in our work that doesn't feel authentic to what our goal is, that doesn't feel like it's what is within our framework of our job, within the scope of how we've set our practice. And if you find yourself in that position, then it's really important to get clarity insight about it so that you can set those boundaries with your clients, with saying, hey, I can totally see you need some help with getting control of the kitchen. I am happy to put a few dishes in the dishwasher. I'll even wipe off the counter before I leave today. But if your kitchen's getting away to you to the point that I'm spending more time working on your kitchen than I am on taking care of you and your baby, let's work on writing up a post to put in the moms group, looking for somebody that can come either as a mother's helper or somebody that can come house cleaning. Sometimes that's the kind of boundary you end up setting with clients. But first, you have to set that boundary with yourself. If your client is trying to call constantly to ask questions and it's interfering with the time that you have set aside for at-home time, how do you deal with that in order to hold a healthy boundary so that you're not working tons of unpaid hours and taking away time that you need for in your household? Maybe you write yourself out a small little script. They've called 4 times today. You've already answered 5 questions. At some point, when you decide you've hit your limit, what do you say? Well, first, don't answer your phone. Text them back and say, hey, this is family time. This is time I set aside with my family. I think that XYZ is something that, yeah, we really ought to talk about. Let's make sure the first 10 minutes of the time I'm there tomorrow, we address that. Or I'd be happy to send you an email with answers to your questions later today. Whatever it is that feels right for you, write it out for yourself. Give yourself a little script so that it makes it easier for you to hold those boundaries, especially while you're still learning what your boundaries are and building that confidence in feeling really solid in being able to set them. When you set boundaries, it may feel unnatural for you in the beginning. Sometimes it feels like you're not being nice enough to other people. What I found, though, is if you can set them in a way that keeps you sustainable, one, you can keep doing the job that you love to do for years because it doesn't burn out your soul in the process. But also, it sets up a great example for your clients in order to set healthy boundaries for themselves. And a lot of times that needs to be part of our caregiving work. We're working with people who are at vulnerable times in their lives. That's why they need somebody in a caregiving position. Whether you are a coach trying to support somebody through life changes, whether you are a postpartum doula trying to support somebody through adjusting to having a new baby, whether you're a birth doula trying to help somebody wrap their head around the process of all of the changes coming to their body and, the event that will be birth, and working their head around their shift in where their life is. All of those are times when it's great for people to be able to have somebody modeling healthy boundaries and supporting them in setting healthy boundaries in a loving, nurturing way, which you can do if you think through how you're going to present it. Any questions about what kinds of boundaries you may need in your business, or concerns about where you might need to work on boundaries? I'm opening it up. Now's when you can unmute and ask a question if you got them.
I was just also going to add that sometimes our clients themselves are having boundary issues. For instance, the stereotypical overbearing in-laws, and we can help guide them in helping establish healthy boundaries. So
Absolutely.
that's another perspective there.
Well, and in birth work, when you realize your client in labor is feeling pressured about something because of the way any of the medical staff may be communicating with them, you can ask them, how is this feeling for you? What different thing would you like to see happen? Oh, what do you think that they mean when they said XYZ? And you can help talk them through that and help give them the language to be able to communicate to their providers what they need in order to set a boundary to move forward in the process in the way that feels good for them. People who work as coaches, that's part of your training. We do that all the time in terms of walking people through figuring out what's feeling uncomfortable and what different steps they may take to make it feel more comfortable, and practicing with them what language or what changes they may make in order to feel more empowered. So all of that is boundary work. And what the main thing I want you to take away from this discussion about boundaries is that boundaries are a healthy thing to have in caregiving jobs. I think it's something that we see so many caregivers in my world, it's doulas, so many caregivers who burn out early because they haven't been modeled they haven't been supported in figuring out what healthy boundaries they need in order to be sustainable. And if you have found a heart-centered job that feeds your soul and makes you money, I want you to be able to keep doing it for as long as it's working for you. And that's sustainability. So boundaries are a big part of that. All right, if nobody else has any more questions about boundaries, I can't guarantee you I won't come back to it because it's kind of my thing. But let's talk about marketing, because one of the big fears that everybody has is, how are they going to get clients? Who's going to pay them for doing this work? What happens if you do all of the things that you think you're supposed to do and nobody's hiring you, right? That's kind of, I see it in Facebook groups all the time. I finished my training. Now what do I do? And I think that's a huge thing. Kimberly, did you have a question? Crystal said you unmuted. I didn't want to
I
talk over
don't
you.
remember what it was. Because there's a lot going on over here. I was like, oh, I had a boundaries question, and I'll put it in the chat when I remember.
Okay. And Crystal will remind me if I don't notice it. I'm doing this without my glasses. So when Crystal puts something in the chat, I have to lean forward and go.
Okay, no worries. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right. Marketing, getting clients. That's like the big one, right? I think marketing for heart-centered businesses is a whole different ball game than what we think of as marketing. I remember when I first started, I played around with so many different types of marketing. I bought an ad in one of the little free magazines that go out to parents. It was a really popular one at one time. And I figured, they'll see my name in print and they will know I'm legit and I'm the one to call. It looked really pretty. People would occasionally say, ooh, I saw your name in whatever the magazine was. I think it was Austin Families or something like that. But I never ended up with people who called me and said, I found you here. It never had the exchange of having paid for that ad did not result in me making money. So I don't know that it was a totally bad thing to do. It was not the most helpful thing to do. Same thing with paying for Facebook ads or Instagram ads. It may not be a horrible thing to do if you have money to throw out there, but your rate of return on it is not likely to be really high with heart-centered work. And the reason for that is it's not like someone hiring a plumber where they go on Google and say, plumbers for Austin. And, and they just kind of start from there. Because we're working with people who are at vulnerable times in their lives, because we're working in intimate environments where people are struggling with, whatever it is that they're struggling with at the time, the adjustment to parenting, the fear of giving birth, the insecurity of feeling pregnant and, this alien invasion of your body, new parenthood with this little baby who relies on you for everything and didn't read the dang baby book. All of those things, right? If you're not working in the perinatal period, maybe you're working with someone who is changing careers and feeling really insecure about what's next. Maybe you're working with someone who isn't happy with their body and wants to change how they view their body, whether it's with diet or exercise or just their overall way of interpreting what they look like. It doesn't matter what kind of clients you're working with. If you're in a heart-centered business, you are working with someone who is hitting all of those vulnerable places. those people are hiring not just based on the rates people charge, not just based on where you rank in terms of coming up on Google, not just based on a paid ad. They are hiring based on relationships, based on how they feel about you, based on how you make them feel. All of that plays a part in it, which means your marketing has to be different, right? The other thing I see in marketing is often we look at competition as a type of marketing. You know, you have to be better than everyone else so that all the clients hire you. It's a couple of problems with that. One, in a heart-centered business, you do not want all the clients, because then you get the clients who are not the right fit for you. If you are working in an intimate environment, if you're working with someone in a vulnerable time, then you want someone who is a good fit. You don't want just any client. You don't want all the clients. People talk in the doula world about everyone deserves a doula. And I absolutely believe that. I believe everyone can benefit from having a doula. Not everyone needs a doula. That's generally how I word that. If you have a great support system, you may not need to hire a doula. I have never worked with anybody who doesn't benefit in some way from a doula. But you don't have to be that doula for every client, right? Oh, you're not going to be the best fit for every client. Every client is not going to be the best fit for everyone. So the competition thing works against you as a professional, because if you're trying to take all of the clients, you are not getting the best fit for you and your clients. The other thing is with heart-centered business, and we've seen it in Austin with the doula community. The more people offering your heart-centered profession who are doing an amazing job, the more work there is. Just using doula work as an example. If I'm a birth doula, I can only take between 2 and 4 or 5 clients per month if I have a chance of making it to every birth. If we'll use Crystal for example. If I am Crystal's birth doula and Crystal has a fabulous birth and she felt so empowered and she wants all of her pregnant friends to have a birth doula, she's going to tell all of her friends, oh my gosh, you need to hire Allison. I had such a wonderful experience. Well, if Crystal has 20 friends and they all call me, I'm going to say, ooh, I can't take all of you. And I'm going to refer to other people. So that builds more business for me, for all of the people I refer to, because any one doula can't cover everyone. So I really feel strongly that any competition in heart-centered work needs to be competition against yourself. Keep improving your job, keep improving your services, keep improving what you are offering to the world. Do it while keeping your boundaries so that you're sustainable, charging enough so that you're profitable, because that's part of being sustainable, but compete against yourself so that you're offering more and better for your clients. But don't worry about what other people in your field are doing in a way that falls into competition. Support them, help them, make them better so that their example of this heart-centered work benefits all of us. The more of us doing a fabulous job, the more work there is. All right, let me pause and see if I can pull up what Kimberly asked. Let's see. How do you turn down a client who wants to work with you? I think there's a couple of different things. One of the changes I've made in my business is I totally restructured how I take clients in. When people reach out to me, I tell them we're going to have a mutual interview to see if we're a good fit for each other. So it is set up from the beginning that they are interviewing me, I am interviewing them. And that way, if they're not a great fit, you have a couple of options. I'm really blunt, and I will say, we're not a great fit. I think so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so might be a fabulous fit for you, and I will refer them to somebody else. If you don't feel comfortable just saying that, which I know a lot of people don't, at the end of the interview, tell them, let me get back to you within 24 hours or 48 hours or however long, let's check back with each other at this time and see if we're going to move forward. And then give it a couple of hours, wait till the next morning, send them an email and say, I am so sorry, I am no longer available. Let me refer you to, and refer them to somebody else. So that way you kind of buy that pause. Sometimes when you're in an uncomfortable situation, buying a pause gives you time for, your brain to catch up with your heart, to be able to know what to say in a way that you can keep that firm boundary and still give a kind response.
Thank you. I think right now, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I think right now, like what I find is when I'm interviewing the clients, I know that they are not my clients, but then I feel like, does the buck stop with me? Or do I say, okay, well, maybe they'll be a good fit for someone on my team? So I've tried to do that approach, and then they're working with them, but I still have interaction with them, and I'm just like, oh no, this should not have happened. So it's just like, I tell my team, y'all, at this point, I need to trust myself, and I need y'all to trust me that these are not our type of clients, because y'all just come back to me with headaches and stuff that we could have just avoided.
If you're working from an agency point of view where it will be you and the people, your contractors that are working directly with them, if you're going to interact with them, if you're going to be responsible to them, you need to have a boundary that it's a good fit for you. Everybody has to interview with me and my agency manager and make sure they're a good fit for the agency. And then I put them with doulas, and they have to be a good fit for the doula. There are times when I interview with somebody and they come back to me and say, we want you to be our postpartum doula. And I've gotten a really good filter on who I'm going to be good for and who I'm not, or who I'm going to enjoy working with and who I'm not. And if I know that they're a good fit for the agency, I can do the oversight, but I could not work in their home day to day. I have no problem with saying, I love that you'd like to work with me. I am not the best doula for you, but Kimberly would be great, or whoever, but I do think that is part of the boundary thing. And if you're working by yourself, then, it stops with you. You have to know that you're going to enjoy the process, or you won't keep doing it. So that's how I would handle it. When you're looking at how do you market, if you're not doing paid advertisement, if you're not in competition with everybody else, how do you find clients? Word of mouth is usually the best way, but nobody has that when you first start out. So I tell my students, start off by figuring out who you want to be in business. It's kind of a review of what we've done the last week. Who do you want to be in business? That means living in integrity with how you want people to view you in your heart-centered business, which helps them pick you, because then you are representative of the things that you want them to see in you as a business person. They will seek you out because you are a good fit for them. Oh, who is your client? Who is your ideal client, your ideal target market? Who is it that you are marketing to in a way that draws in the right people that want to pay to be able to support you? Get really clear on who that target market is so that all of your marketing, all of your interaction, all of your social media posts, all of your blog posts, all of your answers to questions in moms groups, all of that is talking to the person you want to draw in. Everything you write should reflect what your ideal client is looking for, so that when they see something you've written, they go, she is talking to me. And they are clear on that. When you have clarity of who you want to be in business and who they want, who you're drawing in, then we've already gone through the exercise of figuring out who your ideal client is, all of these characteristics about them. That gets you clear in terms of what you're saying and what you're putting out there. The next thing is to look at who all is working with your client. What other professions are they working with? As a postpartum doula, I know that my clients are working with birth doulas. They're working with nanny agencies. They're working with lactation consultants. They're working with prenatal and newborn chiropractors, acupuncturists. They're looking at mommy and me activity groups. They're doing prenatal exercise, prenatal yoga. They're going to be going to moms groups. All of these people are the people that I need to be networking with in order to bring in my clients. Your ideal way of marketing a heart-centered business is going to be networking. When you're networking, when you make that list of all of the other professions that your ideal client is working with, take the list, do a little research, ask in the moms groups, who is your favorite lactation consultant? Who do you go to as a pregnant woman if you want to see a chiropractor? What nanny agency did you go through to hire your nanny? Reach out to the doula groups and say, who works as a birth doula? Who else is postpartum doulas? Start making your list of those people. Pick at least 5 people in each of those categories. Out of those 5 people, reach out to them. Send them a message through their Facebook or Instagram. Give them a call. Shoot them an email. Say, hey, I am a whatever it is you are, a postpartum doula, a birth doula, a coach, a lactation consultant. And I am trying to build my resource list so I know who to refer my clients to. I tell all of my students, do it that way, because the honest truth is most of us are a little self-centered. If you are reaching out to people going, hey, I am a brand new postpartum doula and I want you to refer to me, they're going to go, ooh, I don't have time for that. Or they're going to be nice and talk to you, but then they're going to blow you off because it's just about you. If you reach out to them and say, I am a new postpartum doula who is working up my resource list, and I was wondering if you had time to have coffee together, whether it's on Zoom or in person, so that we could chat and I could see if you would be a great fit for my client so I could put you on my referral list. They're going to go, oh yeah, let's do that. Because it serves them, it makes them feel important. And then as you're talking, they're going to ask you questions, you'll answer, you'll ask them questions, they'll answer. You really do want to build those referral lists because it makes you look really good to know the best people to serve the people that you're serving. But also you develop a relationship with that other professional. And at the end of it, you have an awesome referral list, and these people know you. They've talked to you. They know your theories in caregiving work. They know if you're in alignment with how they take care of their clients, and they are most likely to refer to you as well. So do that with 5 people in each one of those different categories of professionals that your ideal client, your target market is working with. By the end of that, you will have an amazing referral list, and you will have, 20 people who know you as a person or as a professional with a face and a soul attached and are likely to be referring to you. So that's my number one marketing tip. Start with who you are in business, figure out who your ideal client is, and then reach out to all of the professionals that your target market is working with and network with them. Even if you're networking with other people in your same field. I'm a postpartum doula. I run a team of postpartum doulas. I am still limited in how many people I can cover. And if we're all booked up, I need to know other great postpartum doulas who are in alignment with how I take care of my clients that I can refer to. And I do refer out all the time. If I interview with somebody and I think, oh my gosh, this would be a great client, but they're not in alignment with what my rates are, I'm going to refer to other postpartum doulas. And those people still feel taken care of by me because I helped connect them with the person they needed. So don't just limit it to other professions. Reach out in your own profession and in all of the other professions that your ideal client is working with.
So one of the things that I have taken to doing, and I don't, just as what feels comfortable to me, is I moved from Tampa, Florida to Dallas, Texas. So one of the things I was doing as I was moving my business was, joining the different groups and the different doula groups here and all that type of stuff.
Yes.
And actually doing the same thing for Austin, as you know. But just looking and seeing who is doing what in the industry, right? Because when you have, my agency that's trying to grow, I wanted affiliated with good people, so that's one of the things I think it's good to reach out to so many people, but just be mindful of what those people have been doing. And do they align with what you want to see your company align with, if that makes sense?
Yeah, and that comes with the sitting down for coffee and talking to them. I mean, like I said, part of that is so they get to know you, but part of that really is figuring out, is this somebody you want to put on your referral list? Is this someone who will treat their clients, who may be your clients, in a way that you want to? Because everybody you refer to is a reflection of you.
Right, exactly.
Absolutely. And in joining the moms groups, not only can you use moms groups for a resource of who your target market might be using. I have a pediatrician referral list that I keep up. And my youngest kid is 20. I'm not using a pediatrician. So I build that list and I keep it updated by things my clients tell me about their pediatricians. Or if there's a big discussion in a Facebook moms group, I pay attention to what people are saying about different pediatricians. And I may come back in and say, hey, I'm a local postpartum doula. I am wanting to update my list of referrals for pediatricians. What do you think about this pediatrician? Or do any of you have experience with this pediatrician? Or ask questions about their hours or whatever. So you can mine groups for information like that. You can also build your recognition in moms groups. So whether it's an in-person moms group that maybe you talk to the organizer about, do y'all ever have speakers? Is there a time that I could come and talk about, sleep training or introducing solids or benefits of a postpartum doula or answering breastfeeding questions, whatever you feel like, your knowledge base is. A lot of even in-person groups will let you come talk to their group. In the Facebook groups, go in and in the search feature, type in things that you feel like you're really knowledgeable about. It may be tongue ties. Don't diagnose tongue ties, but giving information of referrals and tips and whatever. It may be breastfeeding stuff. It may be sleep issues. If you do those searches, it will pull up conversations that hit those keywords. And go in and say, if you know an answer, don't just make stuff up. This has got to be authentic and reflect on who you are. But if you have a great tip, go in and say, as a postpartum doula, what I have seen work for my clients is blah, blah, blah. You're not selling your business, but you are building trust. You're letting people get to know you. You're introducing the fact that you are a postpartum doula or a birth doula or a whatever business you're in without violating any of the guidelines for that group. So building that interaction and that trust is a helpful thing. It's all about the networking and the connecting with people who may be your target market, connecting with the professionals who work with your target market. When you get done working with somebody, give them a way of giving you a review and share those reviews. It's all about helping people get to know and trust you. That's what marketing is in heart-centered businesses. Where are we on time? Okay. Any other questions about marketing and bringing in clients?
I just also wanted to mention that I think for me, as somebody with limited energy, 5 children, 3 still at home, for a long time, I was afraid to give too much for free, when I would find like maybe a baby store or a birthing center, and I could, do a free talk. And then I would find that I'd be driving a lot and I'd spend money on printouts, and maybe I'd have all these, like a presentation, and I'd spend a lot. I'd pour a lot into this presentation. And, it was just giving a lot for free. And I found that I had to really figure out how to do less and do less and do less, because what we ourselves judge as like, oh, this is like, we have to make it good. We have to make it so good for our clients. But very often the over delivering urge is so strong that we end up giving away, the farm instead of giving them a taste. And that taste can still be wildly helpful. So just something to think about.
Absolutely. And that goes back to boundaries.
Yeah. Boundaries and
figuring out what works for you and setting yourself a boundary with that. One of the coaches I work with, something they say all the time that I think kind of falls into that, and I found really helpful, is an expert is the person who knows the most about any given subject in that room. So you don't have to be the person who knows the most about a subject in even the building or at any given time. To be an expert about something is to know the most in that room at that time. And so you don't have to fix everybody's problem. You just have to be able to give them enough that they feel like they know more than they did before you opened your mouth. So, all right. Why am I doing this whole 5-day training and the masterclass? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One, I'm tired of seeing heart-centered business people burn out and not be profitable, and really great people move on because nobody reinforced to them the value of setting boundaries and charging sustainable rates and taking care of yourself. The other part is because I run a postpartum doula certification program, and I use this time to give back to the community and also to teach people about how I teach, what my values are, and introduce them to our postpartum doula certification program. So my program is the ABG doula training. Website is ABG. Oh my gosh, I just totally blanked out on it. abgdoulatraining.com. It's the ABG postpartum doula certification program on Facebook. Something similar to that on Instagram. I'm not too hard to find. We're a smaller training that's growing. So it's an international training. It gets better every year. The program is amazing. We have 10 modules that we go over. All of it is available online. Even the classes that I teach, we had somebody come in and video them. And so we put them in the training portals. We have, I'm going to pull up the names of the modules so that I don't miss anything, just so you're wondering what I'm doing here. So we cover working as a doula, both in the home and the business side of it. And I think that's really, really important because a lot of doula trainings teach you how to be a great doula, but they don't teach you how to get clients. And you can be fabulous. If nobody knows you're around, nobody hires you. So it's really important to learn both the caregiving side and the business side. So we cover both of those. We teach infant safety and CPR. So I want our postpartum doulas to know safe sleep guidelines, know the safe car seat usage guidelines, to be able to help give their clients resources and guidance on keeping their baby safe. We teach newborn care. So it's all of the practical stuff, but also the stuff that parents really struggle with. How do they connect with their baby? How do they soothe the baby that's crying? How do they set up healthy sleep habits? I don't teach sleep training, but I do teach what kinds of things can you do to support good sleep habits. We teach infant feeding. So breastfeeding, but also how do you safely prepare formula and teach clients how to set up bottles? How do you help a client navigate if they want to do combination of pumping and bottle feeding and breastfeeding, or maybe they're combining formula and breast milk? And how do you teach all of that without letting any internal judgment you have be a part of that? We teach about working with multiples. Families with multiples need help. And it is a different ball game than having a single baby. We teach about postpartum mood disorders. I worked really closely with our local post-pregnancy and postpartum health alliance to develop the module on postpartum mood disorders. I don't want any of the postpartum doulas to diagnose it. You're not a therapist. You can't treat them, but we're often on the front line. So we often are one of the people in a family's life that we may recognize there's a problem. And what do you do with that? How do you walk a family through that? We teach a module on grief and loss. Even if you never have a client that loses a baby while you're working with them, and I hope you never do, you are pretty much guaranteed to work with a client who has had some sort of loss before, whether it was a miscarriage, whether it was a stillbirth, whether it was infertility. And when they bring home a new baby, they're doing a lot of processing around that. So you need to be able to know who to refer to know what kind of support systems they may need. And so we'll talk about that. We have a module on growing into a family. It's kind of my catch-all module. We talk about different family structures. We talk about different needs in the postpartum period. Working with teen parents is going to be a different need than working with a single parent versus working with same-sex parents. Working with women of color, they have a much higher rate of postpartum mortality rates, especially in Texas, but across the board. How can you support them and offer them resources that help keep them safe and empower them? What if you're working with a family that does attachment parenting? How do you support that? What about a family who has a more structured, authoritarian approach to parenting? What kinds of resources do you need there? And how do you work that with how you raised your family and how you may feel about parenting? So all of that goes in that module. And then our 10th module we added year before last, I believe, is diversity and inclusion in birth work. And I feel really proud of that module. It's not a module that I wrote because middle-aged white woman, I wasn't in a position to write it. But I brought in Moss Froome to do a unit on trans and queer parenting. They talk a lot about the language around it, on inclusion, on what different challenges parents who fit in that may need or face, and how to support them. And then 2 of the doulas that work with me who ran a great program on racial diversity and bias wrote a unit for me on racial bias in birth work. And so I feel pretty good about that module as well. Our program is self-paced, so you work at your own pace. There's not a deadline on it. Sometimes people get through it pretty quickly. You can get through it pretty easily in 2 months. I think most people take about 3 months to go through the program, but occasionally someone has their own baby or has to take care of an aging parent, or maybe they have a full-time job. And so I've had students who have taken a year or 2 to finish the program. In training, you can work as a postpartum doula while you're training. You don't have to finish the program before you're able to work. In fact, I require students to work with at least 3 clients as part of their training. All I ask is that you get through the working as a doula module and the infant safety module before you pick up clients. But part of the training is having mentoring and having a group where you can talk to other people and get support. And so working through the modules, working with clients while you're finishing the training is great in that situation. We do have a certification program. So if you work through everything, you can become fully certified as a postpartum doula. Because of the way doula work is a non-regulated field, the certification is applicable anywhere in the world. So it's a great thing no matter where you are. The training program is $725. I have a couple of different things that help make it a little easier for people if the price is a stumbling block. We have a payment plan. It breaks down into, I think, $135 a month until you pay it off. And you get access right away when you get into the payment plan. We also offer a discount for people who have already trained with someone else. If you want to cross-train with ABG, but you're already trained by DONA or Pro Doula or Kappa or anyone else. Because sometimes you'll take another training and find that you have gaps in your education, or maybe you signed up with a training and realized that their program is not fully in alignment with you and where you want to be in your career. There's a lot of reasons why people may train with more than one program. So I would love to have any of you who are interested in becoming a postpartum doula reach out to me about training with me. If you don't need to become certified as a postpartum doula, but you know someone else who would love that as a career, send them my way. I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has about it. And the shopping cart for signing up is open. If you go to www.abgdoulatraining.com, you can sign up directly through there, or like I said, you can reach out to me if you have questions. Crystal, did I miss anything?
Don't think so. I think you've got it.
I always have to ask because I start rattling and then my brain my ADHD brain goes. Woo-hoo. So
yes, I just wanted to say links in the chat. And I think you always forget to promote one of the biggest bonuses of working with you is that you have people can come and ask you questions, and you're very attentive, responsive, and you have kind of a different perspective on self-studying, and you trust your students to be adults and to know how to navigate in the world without a whole lot of hand-holding or rules. And I think that's actually a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I homeschooled my kids, and all of my kids were unschoolers, so they're very self-directed. And I've been told that the way my program is written reflects that. I built a fabulous framework for people to get a great education as a postpartum doula. I tell people, if you work through the program, you will be a really good doula. If you work through the program and you reach out for mentoring and you interact with other students, you will be a great doula, because then you not only take on the knowledge that you gathered, but also the knowledge that everybody else gathered along the way. One of the other benefits to my program is we don't require a recertification every year or two. It's a great business model, and I really played with the idea of doing it because if everybody that ever certified with me was paying me every 2 years to become recertified, that would add up. But I don't do it because ethically, I feel like as an adult, as a professional, I really wanted to set up the training to encourage people to participate in ongoing education. In our Facebook group, I always share resources for other trainings that I think will benefit my students, but I don't feel like you need me to mother you and every 2 years have you prove to me what you're doing to improve yourself as a professional. That's going to reflect in what your career is like. So I want to support you and encourage you to do that. I don't feel like it's my job to force you to do that. So there we go. I am always available to mentor and support my students. As people post in the Facebook group, other students that have graduated with me will often come in and answer questions because they also trained in an environment where we all support each other and we all mentor each other. So it's a huge benefit to the training. Thank you, Crystal. Sometimes Crystal notices things about me that I don't always point out. So we work well together that way. Does anybody have any questions about the certification program or anything else that we've covered? All right, we've hit at an hour. I told everybody I'd try to keep it to 45 minutes to an hour. I don't want to cut anybody off if anybody has anything pressing to ask. But if no one has anything else, then I will wind it up. Please stay active in the Facebook group. Keep checking back in. Like I said, we're going to be sharing stuff throughout the next week. Crystal will be sending out things to the mailing list. You'll have resources to be able to help support you on developing whatever growth you can get out of this free training. And if you want to sign up with the doula training, I want to make that easy for you. So I will talk with everybody later. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And
Thank you for showing up.
thank you for showing up.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.